So either they're ignorant of the reality or they're not aware of it, there's no education. For example, when we're coming this morning, myself and my colleague were talking about the hawkers and looking at the foods. I said, actually, how can we be sure that the quality of what we're eating is actually safe? But we all buy those things when there's traffic. So, but if someone's aware, we're talking about typhoid. The average person, if you're sick for a while, they'll say, okay, you have typhoid. And we say, okay, actually, typhoid is caused by a bacteria in the food or water. If that is the case, if I know that in a week, in a particular area, the frequency of typhoid report is like maybe 90%, then I need to educate people about what they eat to prevent what they drink. So most of the social risk actually could be addressed by education and awareness and creating the behaviors that will help to address them.
Is it the lack of that awareness and education that's to a large extent affected national development negatively?
I think it could be. There's a bit of passive education and active education, or active re-engineering the mind of a nation. For a nation, in nation building, for a nation to be re-engineered or transformed, there has to be a lot of deliberateness. For example, a few years ago in the UK, they discovered that lots of, from a particular age, they were actually not educated. So what they did, the government introduced free adult education. When they started over 15 years ago, nobody knew where they're going. But today, you see an 80-year-old woman checking the bank balance from their phone. Now, it stopped the bank from printing bank statements. Now, they can report crime online. They can tweet. They can go on the Facebook. So it was a deliberate attempt to, and also they can now increase the pension age. So most of them can go back to the counters and be able to serve people, customer service. They could sit somewhere on the phone. So they educated that generation to increase the human capital, to create wealth back. So social change, we have to be a lot of deliberateness. So we can't make it a passive learning. It can't be a passive, or we have schools, we have education. No, it has to be, what do we want to do? We must have a vision for it first. We want Nigerians to be the most friendly citizens. So how do we do that? What do we need to do?
You're taking it back to the leadership now.
I think it's both.
The leadership,
it's both.
Can the leadership carry on development? I mean, the current administration talked about working infrastructure. The citizenry right now is going through a phase of spiraling economy. No power, no fuel, no water in some places, no money for the manufacturing sector, no foreign exchange. So you hear all the no.
Yeah.
But the leadership still talking about we're moving this nation somewhere. Between the two of them, how can this risk of social and political risk and national, how can we bring a fusion?
Kind of an integration of the three.
To get this country to where it's supposed to.
I think it's easier to blame the leaders every time. It's the usual suspect and the scapegoat.
They signed up for the job.
I agree, that's on one side, but also let me use this example again, tell that it's not only about leadership, it's about followership. The individual behavior itself, actually, no matter how great a leader you have, if the people's behavior themselves still doing something destructive themselves, there's nothing the leader can do. So I was on the public transport because there was no freight crisis, and this guy was moving at a ridiculous speed. So some people were saying, please slow down, slow down. The guy would not listen, and it crashed one of the nice vehicles, and the owner came out. Now guess what everybody said in the car? Said, shh, let us protect him. And that's not the government, the people. The guy has done something wrong. Everybody there decided that, okay, let's protect him. How can you blame the government for that? This is the reality of where we live. So, and until we actually take responsibility back, say, listen, I'm responsible. If everyone individually start doing something about their health, there's something government should do. Agree. Create the platform, the environment, the infrastructure for ordinary citizens to move. But also we have responsibility to do certain things and to also behave in certain ways. Now, going opposite the lane, Okada man facing you, oncoming vehicle, that's not government. Yeah, government will have something to do with that. But we are responsible. Where government will come in is the enforcement and to make sure that there are consequences. I've listened to everybody talking about it all morning. So that's government. But also individuals respond that if someone says this, let's do it that way. So we have responsibility, the government and the followers.
Okay, how can SMEs and individuals adopt and operate a risk management system successfully, effectively?
That's a very good question. I think also the problem is the fact that, or the challenge is the fact that when we use the word risk management every time, people don't understand it. Just like when I first used the word risk and your reaction. But the moment you tell an SME that I want to help you to grow your capital, your profit. So my cousin is starting Bolly roasting business and say, okay, I would like you to borrow me 100,000 naira. I am the one financing the guy. So one, I want to make sure that I will not lose the money. Two, he will make profit from the money. So what the risk management will do for the SME is, okay, where to understand this is my business, what are the things that will hinder me from breaking even, making profit, or even losing the capital. Say for example, rain. Most people don't know that in Lagos we have at least average of, I was told, about 150 days of rain in a year. And if you're going to be outside and whenever it rains heavily, it's going to affect your sales. So a good SME will think, okay, what should I do when it rains to make sure that I can sell? That's one. But also, what are the other innovative opportunity, the good risk I can take to grow my business? So if I decide I want to have an executive bolly, and the bolly is only for executive, so my packing will be different. So the packaging will be different. I'll do the bolly and I'll put my granite around it. I'll make it to look like Galede or something. Design in such a way that when people come to look at the bolly, even though it should cost 500 naira, someone say, you know, I'll pay 5,000 for this. Why? The SME is now using risk approach to think creatively to grow the business. So doing business as an SME is not just making money, but it's also about growing the money at the same time. I hope that you're not convinced why.
No. I perfectly understand. I mean, you have to stand out.
Yeah.
You know, everybody is selling bolly, but you want your own bolly to sell more than more than mine. Yeah. So you've got to be creative.
Do something else, yes.
Yes.
Then while you're trying to look at the people, the regulators who are going to tell you, give us money to set up your this thing. Yes. You have to think about all those things. That's how.
And the area boys.
And the area boys. So how do I deal with the area boys, the area girls?
We understand we have to go, but how can government help in the adoption of the risk management mentality? By the SMEs, by the medium-scale enterprise, and all of that.
I think there are different levels. The government can approach it from the point of encouraging. I think some sectors actually done well, like the banking or the insurance, with the making mandatory for all the sectors to at least demonstrate that they're managing risk. For example, I saw one of the headlines that the loan default rate is likely to go on the increase. So the banks are doing, but why the other sector, the government will have to create the awareness in education, or when you have the SMEDAMs, when you're supporting the SME, you give them some tools to educate them about, think about the things that would destroy your business, or that might, or give a workshop, a training for them, and say, these are the things that might affect you when you're starting your business, and this is how you should go about thinking about it. If you lack capital, these are the other alternatives. But also talk to people to make cost of capital lower, help the banks to reduce the rate of interest, but inform them some simple tools, not academic grammar of using risk words, just something that they will understand that will help them to get the job done. I don't know why.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Joachim Adenusi, CEO, Conrad Clark Nigeria Limited, on risk management and national development. Thank you very much for coming. Sunrise will return with the home stretch in just a moment.